Another episode, my fault. Another day, another dollar. You know how I grind. Another episode of the Easy Corner. My guest, one of my favorite guests of all time, because honestly, he was like the third person I ever did the Easy Corner episode. Like it's about to be. Was it last year or 2 years ago? I think it was last year though.
Last year.
Oh yeah, last year.
It was two.
Yeah, 2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago. 2 years ago, he was my third guest on the Easy Corner. My guy from the University of Texas, the freshman from Houston, Texas, Donovan Strech Williams, man. How you doing today, bro?
Man, I'm good. I'm blessed, man. How about you?
Oh, man, I'm good, man. Let's just talk about this pandemic that's going around the world, which is coronavirus, is really, really testing a lot of people's ill will. I think we're seeing the best out of people and seeing what they can tolerate and what they can't handle. How are you actually handling this pandemic of the coronavirus?
I think for me, I had injury coming out of the season, so the pandemic and the quarantine, it's really just been a extra blessing for me because I was kind of forced to like sit down. Usually when you get injured as a player, like your first instinct is that immediately once you feel good to get back out there and start playing again as much as you can. But with this quarantine, it's not really much to do, so I'm kind of forced to get myself fully healthy. So I've been taking it step by step, but finding any way to keep myself busy because it's hard for me to be stuck in this house all the time.
What are you doing? What are you doing? The things to get you healthy, because at the end of the day, like you're an important piece to the Texas Longhorns coming into next year. So, like, how are you keeping yourself busy and just trying to get yourself healthy?
Well, every day I'm in the gym. You know what I'm saying? Every day I'm putting up shots. I'm not really allowed to walk really without my crutches or without my brace, so I can't really do much like when I'm working out. But every day I'm in the gym working on my form, working on my shot, working on my ball handling, getting my left hand stronger. All these things that I know I need to work on going into this season. That's just basketball wise. Getting my body right. Like I have physical therapy every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And then I also go see a personal trainer every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, just to work on my upper body since I can't really put any pressure on my legs. So anything that I can do that I'm allowed to do, I'm doing basically. Like I'm trying to keep up with the doctor's orders and stay what the doctors want me to do and stay the course. But I'm definitely doing as much as I'm allowed to do.
University of Texas. This is your first year in college. Talk about it just as we're going to get to the basketball part, but just talk about the aspect of just maturing and growing as a young man in Austin, Texas, because like your mom and dad are not there. You're in the whole 3 hours away now. So how are you handling your business off the court, and what have you learned about yourself off the court attending University of Texas?
I think the biggest thing you learn going into college as a freshman, not just for me, but for a lot of guys, is how much the little things matter. Like coming into college out of high school, you're all about, I get buckets. So, it's the best players get on the floor. If I can get this bucket, then I'm on the floor. But what you don't realize is how much everything else matters. Like once you get to college, everybody can get a bucket. You know what I'm saying? Everybody can get a bucket. Everybody can score. Everybody can do pretty much the same thing. So any chance or any little opportunity you get to separate yourself is definitely something that you should be striving for. And that's the biggest thing I learned. Because coming in, I was 18, just turned 18 once I got on campus. So I was probably one of the youngest people on campus, let alone on the team. So for me, my thing in my head was I always wanted to try to show that I was more mature than people thought I was. But a lot of times forcing that, not always, but a lot of times when you force that, you kind of could, set yourself back a little bit. So it's always about just finding yourself. I think the biggest thing about college is you find, who you are, who you really are. And so what matters to you and what your values are. And so I think for me, it's just all about taking everything step by step. My journey to get here wasn't a quick one. It wasn't a long one. So everything has to be taken step by step, and you have to take advantage at any moment you got.
When you look at the University of Texas, just like as a whole, and obviously like you're a highly touted guy coming out the state of Texas, even though you got that literally at the last minute, like the growth. What separates University of Texas from all the other universities that you saw from afar when you're taking all those visits? Because we talked about it back then, like why go out the state when you have all the connections here? So just talk about that, man.
I mean, it's still the same. My reasons for going to Texas, it's kind of been helping me watching this Bulls documentary, The Last
Yeah.
Dance, because I kind of felt about going to Texas how Jordan felt when he got drafted to the Bulls. Like that mentality of Texas, was kind of where they weren't where they used to be, basketball wise. And so coming in as a freshman, my mindset was I'm trying to do everything I can to put Texas back on that map basketball wise. Whatever I can do individually, team wise, just to get Texas back on the level of a Duke, a Kentucky, those blue bloods, those universities and those programs that people want to dream of going to. I want to make Texas that dream school for other people coming up behind me. And so that was my pitch for going to Texas, and I think that's still there to this day. I mean, I wear Texas proudly. Texas and Houston. If anybody who knows me, they know I wear that proudly. So every day, every game, going out with that Texas or that Longhorns or putting up that hook'em sign anytime I can, like that's powerful for me. So I want to do everything I can to make sure that like Texas is where it needs to be because I want to rep Texas. So if I want to rep it, I want to be number one. So that's my goal.
Shaka Smart, one of the best coaches in the country. But what do you believe is the biggest misconception about playing for him? Like, and what's the positives of playing for him? Because that he's always been a young, energetic coach. But because to me, like sometimes when you see the coaching really doesn't match the record, because I know Shaka Smart is a better coach than his record says. So what is the biggest misconception do you think is about your head coach, Shaka Smart?
I think people really don't understand how much he like cares for his players. Like that's the one thing that you can't take for granted when you come into college. Because the one thing about college sports and college athletics and anything at this level and beyond is that it's flaky and it's finicky. And so at any given moment, your coach can up and leave. And so now you have to get adjusted to a new coach. And, for a lot of guys that I know personally, like their coaches aren't really invested in them. You see guys where, they don't have good or great relationships with their coach. And I think that's the biggest thing about Coach Smart is that he cares about all of his players. He cares about all of us on a deeper level than just being a basketball player. He wants us to be good men, like better people than we are basketball players. Like, yeah, the basketball is going to come. Like, you get in the gym, you work as hard as you can, like that's going to come. But what he wants to teach us is kind of like how to live life, how to be a man in life. Like, cause he understands that for me personally, he took an extra liking, an extra hard hat on me coming in just because I was that immature 18-year-old kid coming into college. So for me, there were a lot of lessons that I needed to learn once I got on campus, and he's helped me grow, not just physically and not just as a basketball player, but mentally and as a man. So that's one thing you can't take for granted when having a college coach because, and today, you can be in college 1 year, 9 months, or a coach could be there one season and gone. So you never know these connections and these relationships that you'll make and how they'll plan out for your lifetime. And so that's the one thing that Coach Smart definitely like tries to keep us focused on is that there's always, there's a difference between Donovan Williams, the basketball player, and Donovan Williams, the person. So that's the one thing I love about Coach Smart.
I really want to you to talk about another coach at University of Texas, Mr. Jai Lucas. I know that that's your guy, that you guys are family, but how is Coach Jai Lucas specifically, the importance of your development of your game? Because at the end of the day, I know that's family. He's been a big advocator for you, but just him alone, having him there at the University of Texas, how has he been so instrumental on the development of your game?
Oh, it's definitely been a big help. You know, Jay seen me develop since I was maybe like 6 or 7, since I was before I even could walk really. So he's seen my game develop. So he knows who I am and he knows the type of player and the type of person I am. So being there with him, if there was anything that I needed or anything I needed to say or anything that I felt that, you know, I just didn't feel comfortable saying it to anybody else, there was always Jay. And I think as a player, you always need that person because, you know, even though I love Coach Smart, there are always times as a player that you don't always agree with everything that's going on. And so you always gotta have that person that you can go to and, you know, get a different perspective on. Like Jay's been there and he's been to college. He was a McDonald's All-American. You know, he's done all these things that I want to do. And so having his perspective and, you know, having that relationship with him, that's helped me all the more. I think if he wasn't there, my freshman year kind of would have been a lot tougher than it was. Um, but I think just having him there, he's always like somebody that you can always, you know, bounce thoughts off of and just have an open-ended conversation with because he's always going to keep it real with you.
University of Texas is a place where there's a lot of guys from different parts of Texas. Of course, you, Royce, and Jace are the Houston clique. Will Baker is right at home from Austin. Jared Liddell is from San Antonio. Do you guys ever get into conversation on what part of the city, well, what part of the state of Texas is really, really better? Or like, how do you describe like from the separation from Houston, San Antonio, and Austin? And obviously, we still got Dallas. I can't forget about Dallas, but I don't know who's on Dallas on your team. So, like, yeah.
I think no one really argues between like Houston, San Antonio, Austin. Like we all know, like Houston is where it's at. Yeah. The argument always comes in is maybe me, Royce, Jason, Andrew. Like Andrew's from Dallas, so
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
Andrew always goes hard for Dallas, so that's when the conversations, you know, they get kind of heated because we always that everybody knows the Houston and Dallas battle. So if it's not really an argument when it comes to Houston versus San Antonio and Austin, but whenever there's a conversation comes up, it's always either Houston or Dallas. DFW.
Gotcha. Big 12 basketball. Just like when I think of Big 12, you know, the Kansases, the UTs, the Oklahomas, the Oklahoma States, the Baylors, the TCUs. Talk about your first year in Big 12 basketball. Or I can't forget about like West Virginia. Talk about your first year in Big 12 basketball.
Like I said, I mean, it was just a lot of lessons that I learned. Like the one thing about the Big 12 is that it's a physical conference, and so like you'll get ready, gearing up to play a team like West Virginia, and so practices might have to be a little bit more intense that week because we know that West Virginia is a strong rebounding team, so we gotta get dirty. We kind of gotta try to get dirty with a West Virginia or Kansas, you know, teams that have, you know, these big or these, you know, reputations for being you know, hard nosed or grinding. And so I think the one thing about it is it almost feels like, you know, it's a grind. Like it's a grind from day one, you know, from the moment you finish non-conference to the moment you play the last game of conference. Like that's a grind. Like for us, I mean, we had weeks where we would play Baylor, Texas Tech, West Virginia, Kansas all in a row. So I mean, that's within the span of maybe a little bit over a week. And so the one thing about that is it's a lot of rest and rehab. Like that's the one thing that kind of goes unnoticed when it comes to college sports because there's a lot of, oh yeah, you know, we gotta play this ball, but a lot of people don't really talk about how you have to take care of your bodies to play in the Big 12. Like playing with injuries in the Big 12 is kind of tough. Like that was one of my biggest issues this season. But taking care of your body is one of the biggest things that I can say for a freshman, like coming into college. Like being strong, yes, you want to be strong, and yes, you want to be physical and tough, but you want to be in as best shape and you want to be in as best physical state as you can be. Like that's the one thing about the Big 12 that people know. Like the Big 12 is rough and it's tough, so you have to be in the most shape to run up and down the court with these teams, and you have to be in the weight room. So the Big 12, I would say, probably besides the SEC, I think the Big 12 is probably the best conference in the country.
So what about ACC though? Because they're typically
I
always.
mean, I think the ACC is there. Like
I'm an advocate for the Big Ten because the Big Ten, I think that's been one of the best conferences in the country too.
Oh yeah, the Big Ten. And the Big Ten was tough. I will say that the Big Ten this year, West Side, you have teams like Iowa. You have who was that? Maryland, Michigan State. Those teams. So you definitely can't leave out the Big Ten. But I would say if I had to rank them, I would say Big 12, SEC, Big Ten, and the ACC probably.
How has the Big 12 challenged you mentally? Because at the end of the day, like you said, I see how you're physical. You talk about the physical game and how it's physical, but mentally, because I want you to explain it because obviously for me, I know there's two players that's coming out of Houston to play in the Big 12 and LJ Cryer and Eddie Lampkins going to Big 12 schools. So what is the mental preparation on it going into the Big 12?
Well, with these Big 12 teams, you have to understand that a lot of these teams have different schemes. Like that's the one thing that I've taken like initiative on since the season's been over is to really become a student of the game. Like that's the one thing that people don't always talk about is how much you have to study the game, how much you have to watch film, and understand these guys' tendencies. Because for a lot of teams, what they're great at isn't what they can guard or isn't what they can, defend. And so for us, or for me personally, I know I've taken a big initiative on like watching film more, studying the matchups, the players that I would have to go against. Like that's just a lot of preparation. Like mentally, you have to be ready because you have to understand. Like if your mental isn't there, your body can't be there. Yeah. So like that's what I mean by like the challenge mentally, because you can't go and play a great game against Kansas if you're not right in the mind. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a big Monday ESPN game on prime time. So if your head and your mind isn't where it needs to be and you worried and you're focused on distractions and things that's going on outside the court, you're not going to be where you need to be. And that's the one thing that Coach Smart has done. Like that's one of his biggest pushes to us when he talks to us when it comes to preparation in games. Is make sure your mind is where it needs to be. Because if it's not, you can't go and perform. Like you can't perform. You can't tell your body to do what it needs to do if you focus on other things. And so for those 40 minutes, you get a game. Like the biggest thing is try to clear your head, man. Try to be in as best a state mentally as you can to have your body be in the best state physically.
Specifically, what is Coach Smart actually telling you coming into next year? Because I would say is I watched your piece on the Longhorn Network on how your game actually progressed and got better during the season, game after game. But obviously, you're playing so well. Now you're getting derailed by an injury. What does Coach Smart tell you and the message for you going into next year? Because I think that you're a big part of that team coming into next year.
I mean, he says the same thing. For me, it's just all about just habits, just making sure I have the right habits, making sure I'm coming in with the right mindset and not that same immature 18-year-old mindset that I came in with as a freshman. Coming in with that mindset that I'm ready to put the work in and take Texas to the next level. And so me and him have been talking a lot just over the quarantine about not really about basketball. Like we watch film a little bit. And we'll watch like some NBA guys and we'll watch some film of the season. But for the most part, we just talk about mindset, like having that right mindset coming into next season because my potential is there. It's just all about putting that work behind it. And so that's the big thing because, now I'm so eager to get back to work, but now I'm derailed by this injury, so I really can't. So it's all about just like he actually sent me a book the other day. I think it's called like Chop Wood, Carry Water. It's something about just having the right mindset. And so for me, just having the conversation with him is just a push that, we can really have like the start of something big. Like we didn't lose anybody. We didn't lose any seniors last year. And now we have Greg coming in. So like we have everything we need to be where we need to be next season. It's all about bringing each and every guy along. And so that's kind of been his push to me is to try my best to just work towards being the leader of this team. Because, we have guys like Matt, Jason Royce, Jericho, who are going to come back and they're going to be seniors. And so just studying and learning from those guys and learning how to be that leader and learning how to be the guy on the team that can, help us win games, because that's ultimately what we want to do.
That was my next question. Coming in, the McDonald's All-American, one of the best players in high school in the country, Greg Brown announced that he would be going to the University of Texas. When you think of that, when you think of him fitting into Shaka Smart's system as the pressing and the defensive pressure and the up and down style that you guys play, how does he fit?
I think he fits like a glove. I think Greg can come in and he can be just right at home at Texas. And I think that was probably Coach Smart's main push to him about just staying home and being a part of something big and being a part of something different. Coming in, we'll have guys with Greg. We'll have guys like me, Kai, Greg, Jericho, Royce. Like, we can run, and so that'll be the big thing coming into next season. Like, we're gonna want to put the pressure on guys as much as we can. And so I think Greg will fit perfectly. Like, I don't even know if we could have found a better fit for us than Greg probably.
What I want to say is I look at two guys on your team that I believe that can bring the best out of him. I really think you and Jared Liddell. How do you bring the best out of Greg Brown? Because at the end of the day, he is one of the best players in the country, but there's been a lot of critics that's been on him. Like, how bad does he want to play this game of basketball? Is he just an athlete? How toned up is his skills? As a freshman that's highly touted as him, what is the message to him? Because at the end of the day, like you said, we're in an era that we know that we can stay 9 months at school and then off you go. What is the message to him, knowing that he's one of the highly touted guys that ever graced the University of Texas? Because I know you the way I know you come to work. What do you tell him? Because a year ago, you were in that same position as a freshman.
Yep. For me, it's just all going to be about challenging him. Mm-hmm. Greg is coming in, he's going to be the 5-star and he's going to be ready. And so for us, as the guys who's been there and kind of have some experience, it's going to be all about just giving him as much of a challenge as we can. Greg is a great athlete. He's a great player. And so for us, the way we can help him be better is to be at our best every day. And that's the thing that me and Coach Smart talk a lot about, not just with Greg, but with anybody. For us to get better individually, we each individually have to bring our best each and every day. And so, for Greg, the one thing that he knows is coming, because I know Greg and I know his dad, and we talk a lot. And so he knows what's coming. He knows the atmosphere that he's walking into at Texas, because he's the hometown guy, and he's the 5-star recruit. So people are going to be expecting big things from him. And so the one thing that does to a lot of people is it weighs on them mentally, and it weighs on them kind of not just as a player, but kind of as a person, because you feel like you're not living up to these expectations that these people have set out for you. But it's not about that. It's about the expectations that you have set out for yourself. Whether you get to the league in 9 months or 4 years, that really doesn't matter. The point of getting to the league for me, it's not about getting to the league. It's about staying in the league. And so a lot of times you see guys that make the league 2-3 years, they're out. And so for anybody like me or anybody like Greg, it's all about just having that mindset and knowing that critics are always going to be there. And so, if God forbid he comes and he has a game where he scores 0 points and doesn't have any production, he still has to see himself as Greg Brown, the 5-star. Like, you can't let any type of setbacks or mountains or anything that can obstacles that can stop you from thinking about your long-term goal, because it will be hard, and there will be times where we'll go into places like Texas Tech or West Virginia or Kansas where they will help you, and they will tell you, overrated. And so it's not the same overrated at Vandergrift High School. It's overrated in Fog Allen Fieldhouse. And so it'll be a lot different, but I think he's ready mentally he's there. And so for me, my big thing with him is just about pushing him every way I can, one-on-ones, practice, any way I can to push him, to help him get better, because ultimately it's going to help both of us get better. So he knows what's coming.
One thing I want to speak on, I want to harp on, like you said, you're watching this Last Dance documentary. As if you're a hooper, I believe that you're watching it. As you look at these first 6 episodes, what are you learning about MJ that you feel like? Because at the end of the day, I've asked you, you've always acknowledged that MJ is the GOAT. You've always acknowledged that. You always said that you have watched his game, just clips on YouTube. But in this documentary, what are you learning about Michael Jordan, Michael Air Jeffrey Jordan?
I don't know. I've been saying this so much this interview, but I gotta say it again. Mindset, like he was different. You know, like I don't even know how to explain it. He was different from the way he carried himself off the floor to the way he carried himself in the locker room to the way he carried himself on the floor. Like everything was different. Everything he wanted to do and everything that he did was driven around the goal of being the best. And so I think me and Coach Smart, Coach Smart has a saying that's kind of like that. I can't really remember how it goes, but it just talks about just how everything you do, if you want to be the best, it has to be in all facets of life. Like you can't just be the best, and you can't just be the best and on the court or in the locker room. You have to be the best off the court or as a player. And so the way Jordan carried himself, and the way he worked with his teammates, the way he saw the game and the way he thought the game, like he's on such a different level. And like he was one of the first guys in that era to start plyometrics. Like the way he looked at it, he didn't want he didn't want man, it's distracting me. My bad. It's bad.
No, you good.
Um, but yeah, nah, he didn't want anybody to ever say that he wasn't the best. Anything that he was challenged at, he always brought his A game, and that's kind of how I see it. Like I'm the type of person that always lives up to a challenge, whether it's a small challenge or a big challenge. I'm always the type of person that lives up to it. And so with him, I think mindset is the biggest thing that besides just his game and what he brought. Like I'm just watching how he carried himself, and so what can I take from him? Like there's only going to be one Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
But what can I take from not just his game, but from the way he carried himself that can help me to be better?
Your Elkins Knights this year, it was kind of a struggle. For obviously, I don't know how much games you went to go see them play, but I know the relationship that you had with Coach Thomas.
Yep.
I think they're going to actually be well better off coming to next year. Like they should be one of the favorites just by the way that they're outing against Morton Ranch. They actually played them all the way up into that fourth quarter. But like when you see them, what's the expectations? What do you tell them if you were in that locker room? Even though you're not a player, but we know that you at the end of the day, you're alumni. You wore that Elkins with your chest and you played hard. Some of it to me, like losing to Clements, I told Josh Fanuel, that's unacceptable. That's unacceptable. So like, but they actually started to push it, keep coming towards the end of the season. They started playing better than ball. But like, if you're in that locker room, what do you tell them?
I've been there, and we had those conversations. My senior year, there was a stretch in the season where we were having close games with a Kempner, and we were in those close games, and we almost lost a few, and then we came back. We had the chance to be the first Elkins team to go undefeated in district, and then we lost to Bush. We finished district with one loss. So it was the way we led up to that loss. That loss kind of woke everybody up, but people, the guys didn't really see it when we, it was okay when we beat Kempner, by 10 or by 5. Like it's all about complacency. And so when you're at Elkins, you have to understand Coach Thomas isn't recruiting players. Coach Thomas is going to go and he's going to work with whatever shows up at tryouts or whatever shows up at the team. And so I talked to Josh and I talked to Jacoby and Shane. And so, I've told those guys and I tried to lead them by example last year and just to show them that it's not a game. Whether you're Elkins last in district or whether you're Elkins number 1 in the state, people are going to come at you hard every time because, there's a reputation built up when you wear Elkins across your chest. And so every time you step on the floor, you have to be ready to bring your A game, because guys aren't laying down. Like guys are definitely not laying down. And I told Josh and Jacoby this going into this season. I told them, like, we left. Like, we were the team. We were Elkins, and we were the team that was we were that team. And so now, you lost me, Tyler, Colin, Jamarcus, Pete. You lost a lot. And so it's gonna be on, those guys like Shane, Jacoby, and Josh to really bring it up, because that's their nucleus. And so now it's their team.
And the new freshman Chris.
and the new freshman Chris. This is before Chris got there. So I tried to tell him, like, it's not. I made it look easy kind of in high school.
Yeah.
It's not going to be easy to lead a team. And so me and Josh, we talk a lot. And so he's having that struggle to where now he wants to be that leader, and he wants to take that next step into, now I don't want to be offensive player of the year.
Yeah.
I want to be MVP, but I don't want to just be MVP. I want to go D1. And so I'm talking to him about all his goals and what he wants to do, and I'm trying to, just show him the road, because it's hard. This quarantine. I was actually just talking to Josh a few days ago. This quarantine is kind of hurting AAU.
Yeah.
And so.
Yeah, that was my next question for you. And I'm glad that you say that. Like, obviously, there's no AAU, and the 2021s probably actually really needed it. What is your message to them, knowing that, like, the live period is taken away a little bit? Like, it supposedly maybe July, but, like, what do you say to guys that really, really needed it? Because to me, I was thinking the same way with the Hightower guys when they made it to state. I know they needed to play in that state game to get some of the looks. So what do you say in that situation? A situation I know that you've never been a part of, but obviously you're a Division I college athlete. What do you say to that situation with no AAU?
And that's tough, because that was just what me and Josh were talking about the other day. Now, with no AAU, now, college coaches are going to be forced to have to kind of do something different. And so as a player, you have to, more than ever, you have to do whatever you can to separate yourself, because now it's not about if you play EYBL or Adidas or Under Armour. It doesn't really matter anymore if there's no AAU in the summer. And so now it's all about, what can you do? What can you bring to my team? And so the one thing that I think gets misconstrued is that, I need to score 40 points to go to college. That's not what it is, unless you're like schools like Seton Hall or Marquette, with those guys that are scoring 30 and 40, most teams don't have guys and systems that are running like that. And so you scoring 40 and 50 in high school isn't really going to translate to what you need to translate to the next level.
I just wanted to harp on that, because for me, it's just more like, I really think back then, school ball actually mattered. Like, it mattered, like, sometimes in a college coach, but nowadays you see the college coach going to the school because that kid already committed. You know what I'm saying? That kid already committed there. So can you say, from a sense, this school ball might be probably the most important year for these 2021s that are coming?
Oh, definitely, for sure. I think for me, and I know a lot of guys that think like this when it comes to school ball and summer ball. When you're in school ball, you're like, dang, I can't wait till AAU comes. And then when AAU is almost over, you're like, I can't wait till school ball. And so now, if AAU ball doesn't come, now I think we should see some really competitive school ball when it comes back up in the fall. Like high school basketball should be competitive. It shouldn't be, teams running it up on each other, or, these low scoring games. We should see some real competitive ball, because you have nothing but time to work on your game right now. If there's no summer, the one thing about basketball is that it's becoming a year-round sport. Yeah. And so you go right from high school right into spring, into summer, right into fall. Yeah. And so now, you're not taking as much contact on your body. I think that's the one thing that kind of hindered me in high school going into college, is that I never took a rest. Yeah. From my freshman year of high school, I I never took a rest year round all the way till senior year. And so that weighs on you, and that's how you come up with injuries and body aches and all those different types of things that can hinder you and not help you play at 100%. But I think coming in this year in high school, guys, you don't have an excuse. You don't have an
Yeah.
excuse. Like you had all the way from March to November.
And even if your
March
playoff season ended early, you probably had earlier. Like you might have had earlier.
Like you have basically until April to November to work on your game, like with nothing else. Like we have nowhere else to go. So whether it's going outside or working on ball handling or working on, your body, getting stronger, or working on your jumper, anything that you can do to, take a little bit of step. Like I think the one thing that gets misconstrued is that people think, if you're flatlining, you're not getting better. Like I think that's a misconception, because there's always a chance to keep going and keep increasing and keep improving. But there are times when you flatline. And so I think the one thing people think, when you flatline, you're going down. You're not going down. It's all about like just like little deposit, any little deposit you can. Like we know, people might be busy in the quarantine or whatever, but any type of deposit, like you have to see it as like a chance, like any little edge you can get on your opponent or your competitor. Like that's what I've been learning from Jordan, and even watching The Last Dance. It's making me go and watch guys like Kobe and Katie, Jamal Crawford. It's making me watch more documentaries instead of highlights, because the highlights are a result of the documentaries.
Yeah.
Because everything that you see in the documentaries leads up to what makes that player who he is. And so that's what leads to the highlights. And so I think this is a chance where, coming into next season, not just high school, but college, NBA, every level of basketball, it should be competitive once we get back, because we miss it. Like if you go on social media, all you'll see is guys talking about how much they miss the game, and how much they miss hooping, and how much they miss and love the game. Well, it should show. Well, like whenever we're able to play basketball again, it should show. All those guys that were talking about they missed the game and they love the game and all this, and whenever we're allowed to play again, it better show. So that's how I see it.
You played in one of the most famous games in Peach Jam history against Drive Nation. When you think about all those guys that was on the court that day, and knowing how they're leaving their stamp on college basketball just this year alone, what do you say about Texas basketball? Because to me, Texas basketball got defined in that game.
I mean, that game was wild. I mean, we walked into that game, it was standing room only. The sidelines were packed, the stands were packed, the upstairs was packed. And so I think all those guys like Sam, those guys from Job like Sam, Drew, Montavious, Jamias, and the guys in the hoops, we're all cool, and we've all connected at one point or another. And so I think it's fun. It's fun, and it's intriguing to watch guys that and you've seen these guys put the work in and the time in to get to where they want to be. Like, you can't be anything but happy for a guy like Tyrese or a guy like Jamias. Like those, like you see the work that those guys put in, and I know how down to earth and how humble those guys are. And so to see the fruits of their labor, coming into fruition for them, it's nothing but positive vibes. Like you can't feel anything else but excitement and happiness for guys when you've seen where they come from and the work that they put in to get to where they want to be. Like, you can't be anything but happy for those guys and really just be motivated more just as yourself, because everybody's race is different. I think a lot of times people get discouraged when they see guys that were that they're kind of on the same level with, the guys that they know doing better than them. And I think that's the one thing that you can't do once you get to this level, is compare yourself to anybody. CJ McCollum did a podcast just talking about how you can't compare yourself to other guys, how he doesn't compare himself to other two guards in the league, because it doesn't do anything for you. You comparing yourself to somebody else does nothing for you. And so I think just being happy for somebody and, just seeing what they've done with themselves and for their families. It's amazing.
Talk about your family, of course, mom and dad. Though I do miss them, man. I miss chopping with your dad and giving your mom the hugs, and then your sister Kelsey Bone, a legend in Houston, WNBA star and stuff like that. But just talk about your family and the importance of them. Just knowing that you could lean on somebody and talk to a person that been through like the freshman struggles and able to overcome it, and that's family. And then your mom and dad just the expectations of you, just not as a basketball player, but also as a student. Just talk about
that. I think without family, like for me personally, I know that my freshman year would have been so tough. Like without being able, call my mom or call my sister, or call my dad or even just see their face. Like that was one of the biggest reasons I decided to commit to Texas. Because it's, as a freshman, it's going to be hard, and you're going to need someone to lean on that.
And you're a young freshman too at that.
Yeah. So like you've been, for most people, you've been with your parents and you've been, under their wing for 17, 18 years. And so now you're going off and you're living on your own. And now you have to, not just accommodate, your parents can't help you. Like you actually signed a form to where the university don't have to tell your parents anything. So, it comes to grades or anything that happens, your parents don't have to know anything. And so just having that support system behind you when you've had a tough game, or, when you feel short, when you've had maybe a 1-for-6 game or a 1-for-7, or maybe you didn't play that much, or maybe you just didn't feel yourself, after that game. It's nothing better than just seeing a loving face, like your mom or your dad or your sister, after a game, just cheering you on, like regardless of what you did. Like it really puts not just a game of basketball, but it really puts life into perspective, because you never know what may happen. You may go out there and have a career-ending injury, but your family's never gonna leave your side. So I think that's the biggest thing that I thought about when committing to Texas, because after every game, every home game, I get to see my mom and my dad's face, and I really didn't really take it for granted, but I didn't understand how big of an impact it had until I talked to Kai a lot, and his parents are still back in the Bahamas, and so he rarely ever gets to see his mom and his dad, and so that's something that as an 18, 19-year-old kid going off into college, like you're from the Bahamas and you all the way in Texas, like your parents not even in the States, so all he had is FaceTime and calls and texts, and so just it really helped me enjoy and embrace that love that I get to see them after every game. Even like with my mom, she loves to travel, so she'll even come to away games, and so having that support system behind you, that can take you a long way.
We're trickling it down to the end, and so I love to do this. Top 5 NBA players right now, your top 5 favorites, and your top 5 of all time.
All right. Top 5 right now. Can I include KD even though he hurt?
Yeah, we can include KD.
So I'm gonna go Bron, KD. Gotta go Kawhi. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna go Steph, even though Steph's still coming back off his injury. Yeah. And then I gotta put Giannis in there. I'm not the biggest Giannis fan, but I got you.
You know that was actually probably the most realistic top 5. Thank you for because a lot of people would just don't, Trae Young top 5. I'm like, I love Trae, but like you 12 and 64, bro. Like when you're averaging 28 and 10, like I understand, but like, nah, bro.
Yeah. People don't get realistic a lot of times when it comes to ranking these players.
Yeah. Top 5.
Top 5 favorites. Mm-hmm. Just in the league now or all time?
No, all time is next. So in the league now, yeah.
D Book, Harden, Bron is definitely my favorite. KD, and Paul George.
Okay. And top 5 of all time. Well, yeah, top 5 of all time. Top 5 of all time, yeah.
Top 5 all time.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan,
Yeah.
Kobe,
Uh-huh.
Bron,
Okay.
KD.
KD.
Um,
KD's already top 5 of all time already?
man, I'll explain why I say KD is top
Okay.
5. But I'll go Hakeem too.
Okay. Honestly, I'm a dream guy too, so I'm glad that he to me he's the
It
best
was,
center of all. He's the best center
it
of
was
all time.
either it was either Hakeem or Shaq. But I would say Hakeem.
Honestly, I've been clowning Shaq a little bit. The only reason why I've been clowning Shaq because my reasoning I've been saying I believe Shaq didn't play nobody when he won his championships.
Ooh.
That's what I've always said. I just said when you look at the three guys with the Lakers he faced, Rick Smits, Todd McCullough, and Dikembe. I don't believe that Shaq, but when he played a real center in the finals, Hakeem swept him. So and everybody keeps on explaining to me, well, that was young Shaq. But I said, you guys say that's young Shaq, but that's the same Shaq who eliminated Jordan in the same year. So, like, now he's young when he plays Hakeem, but he wasn't too young when they beat Jordan and them. So that's
hey Shaq. I feel that argument, but it's tough. Shaq was one of the most dominant big men.
But you know, me and my partners got into an argument yesterday. So it just depends on your definition of dominance. I just think that if you're dominant, I gotta look who you're playing. Like I think Jordan was dominant because in the end of the day, in the NBA, you can be a sorry center, but there's always a good guard. There's always a good guard regardless. So that's what I'm just like, are you really dominant? Because so my whole thing is when he started his championship run, all those centers really got old. So you better win a championship. So like I understand he was dominant through that 2000s era, but like look who you were dominating though. That's how I look at it. I'm not taking – he's still a top 5 center of all time, but he's number 5. He's just number 5 to me. I just –
Wait, who you got before him?
I think the top 5 centers will never change. I think it's always going to be Shaq, Kareem, Hakeem, Bill, and Wilt. I think that's just never going to change. I don't think nobody's ever going to crack that 5, and I think that it's always just going to be that.
So you think Bill better than Shaq?
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah, I got you. But explain the KD though. Explain the KD.
I would say KD is a top 5 player of all time, just because of his game. Like if we look back era by era, like me and my sister actually got into this argument. Like she did not agree with me at all. She was like, "We've seen a player like KD before. It was Larry Bird." I was like, "No, because Larry Bird's not athletic. Like there's nobody in the. It's not too many players in the game of basketball up until today that you can compare KD to. Like a 7-foot guard.
No. I think it's to me, I just think you have a point in where I think KD is probably one of the top 5 talents we ever seen. But I just think that he is just not as accomplished as a Larry and a Magic. I think I think when it's all said and done, he could crack somebody's top 5. Don't get me wrong. But like I just think as of right now, he's just really like, to me, he's in that 10 to 15. But like I just think when it dwindles down, like don't get me wrong though, I can agree when you from a sense that he is a top 5 talent. A top 5 talent like ever. Kevin Durant is up there, like top 5 talent.
Like the way I think about it is, if I was to take five guys all time, and you know I'm the coach and I need 5 players and we're gonna go 5-on-5 against everybody else. I would rather have KD on my team. Like
okay, and I understand that. Honestly,
if I got Jordan, Kobe, KD, Bron, and Hakeem, like that's all I need. Like I don't know too many other teams there's too many other groups of 5 that's beating that 5.
I got another special question for you, and everybody loves this question. Give me 4 2019s in Houston that you would want to run with. Because honestly, I told your running mate Savir a minute ago, I really think 2019 was down. I really think so because I said if I had to rank 2018, 2019, and 2020, I believe y'all in third place.
Ooh.
I believe that you guys are in. I believe that you guys are in third place. Like, I respect you. I respect Xavier, but like, I just think that as far as class goes in the city, if you give me the 5 best 2019, the 5 best 2018, and the 5 best 2020s, I think that you guys are in third place.
Okay. If I was to take 4 guys from the city and run, I'd take Xavier.
Of course.
Jordan Adams.
Okay.
So that's tough.
That's my favorite question to ask them too. Like, that's my favorite question to ask.
Ooh, man.
Montavious.
Oh yeah, for sure, Montavious.
And he did include. I let him include Quinn and Charles Smith. I did let him include those guys.
Okay. Let's see. So that's Montavious, Jordan Adams, Xavier. Man, it was tough, man. We needed more dominant bigs in our class. But I think if I keep Montavious, I would take Charles for sure. Charles Smith, I'd take Charles for sure.
Okay, because of me and Xavier, he was like, hold up, why are you disrespecting? I just felt like you guys weren't like, it started with you and Xavier, of course. You know, like I just think when I look back at it, it's just like, I think you guys are good. Don't get me wrong. Like, I mess with y'all game. Like, you guys are up there, but I just think when it comes down to deeper, I just think those 2 classes were just a little deeper.
Oh, I definitely would say they were probably deeper. Maybe deeper. I wouldn't say they were better because I think if you were to put our 5 against 2018 and 2020's 5.
Okay, okay. You said that 5. Let me give you a 2018 5.
Okay.
Quinn Grimes, of course.
Right.
Kendrick Davis.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go Miller Kopp. I'll go Jayla D, and I'll go Jamal Bieniemy.
That's tough. The only reason that team has, I mean, that team.
And then if we had a 6-man, it would probably be Jacoby Gordon.
I mean, that's just a lot of size. Like, that's the one thing about our class didn't have a lot of size. Like, if you were to put that 5 up against our 5, like if we were to match it up, so I would put, you got Kendrick on Xavier. See, we might lose that rebounding battle. That's the only thing I'm worried about. They might get us on the
2020. And then 2020, I'll give you a lineup of L.J. Cryer, of course, Trayvon Mark. I'll go Eddie Lampkins. I'll go Marcus Williams, man. He just turned out to just be a dog. And then the 5th one, I'll go, because that's gonna. No, I gotta go 6 people. Reuben Jones and Jahari Long. Those that just completes the 6. So if I
we're beating that 5. We're gonna beat that 5 convincingly. We're gonna convincingly. The game is gonna be between 2019 and 2020. I mean 2019 and 2018. Because 2020, that's a lot of bucket getters. Like, yeah, all those guys are buckets, but we're gonna win that game convincingly. Me, Monte, Xavier, Jordan Adams, and Charles. Like, that's a lot of length right there between me, Jordan, and Charles, and then Montavious. That's tough. They don't have. They do have LJ, and they do got Tremont, and but Montavious can handle 80, so I ain't worried about that. The game is gonna be between 2.
I just want to throw that one out there. I do that with everybody. So like I always say, get their runs in the city and stuff.
And we at some point we could do that. We could do that for sure. At some point, we should look into that.
Okay. Honestly, everybody been telling me that because I did it with 2020s. With 2020s, I did Team Houston, Team Galveston, and Team Beaumont. And I said, who would walk away? So who would walk away a winner? And LJ Cryer was like, we would beat them most definitely. We will beat at a Team Houston, Team Beaumont. So, like, I want to set all that up and see, like, who would actually
we might have to set something up, man. I'm telling you, we need to. Houston has so much talent. We gotta get something back popping. Like we need a regardless, not just class and high school wise, but we need a summer league, or we need something like we need the program. We need Fundy program to get back jumping like a Drew League or
honestly, but I do want to say this. 2019, well, not even 2019. Okay, 2018 to this 2020 window. Give me probably 8 guys, but including yourself. So give me 7 guys that you would take to go face a Dallas team 2018 through 2020.
2018. Ooh, okay. Me, Quinn, Xavier, and Kendrick.
Okay. To me, I really don't think you're gonna pick no 2020 guys. I don't think no 2020 guys.
The two 2020s I would pick. It would either be out of. Well, I got 4 right now. I have 3 left. I might need Eddie as a big. Well, actually, no. So I'll take either like Tremont. I'll take Tremont. The only reason I wouldn't take LJ is just because I already have Kendrick and Xavier. That's the only reason I wouldn't take LJ.
So if I threw out a Dallas team, of course Maxey.
Okay.
I'll probably put RJ Hampton in there at some point. Mm-hmm. I think your boy Davion Harmon deserves it. I don't know. I can't really recollect nobody from 2018 from my head, but 2020, I probably put Cade Cunningham, probably earned a spot in there. But like, so how would you guys prepare for that as Houston?
What? We gonna hoop. we gonna hoop. Like when it come to when you talking in terms of like organized college basketball, you're gonna have a game plan. But we gonna hoop. That's what we gonna go out there and do. And no disrespect to, because I know a lot of Dallas people gonna be like, oh, Dallas gonna hoop too. Dallas is gonna hoop. But I just feel like we gonna go out there and we, like me, Quinn, Kendrick, Xavier, Tremont, Miller Cobb, Jayla D, and
honestly, just go ahead and give Jordan that last spot because Jordan balled this year.
Oh, Jordan. That's what I'm thinking of right here. Jordan. Like, that's it. Like those, besides just bucket getters, like that's a legit squad. So I'm gonna go with that.
And my last question. As basketball, how has basketball shaped you up as a man that you are today?
Ooh, that's deep. I think with basketball, you have to look back on it for me and just look at where I've been and where I've come from. I've never been that guy that was seen out as, oh, he's gonna be a pro years from now. And so I was always that guy. I had to work for a spot. And so for me, you look out sometimes, and I think the times where I really sat back and thought about it are like long plane rides to games, like a long plane ride where you'll just look out into the sky. It'll be something like that, and you'll just think back and you're like, yo, I'm here. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of times the season and everything gets so condensed and it's so tight and it feels like a grind that you don't really have time, or you don't really take a chance to step back and realize that, everything that you wanted to do when you were 7 and 8, now you're 17, 18, 19, and you're here and you're in it. And so you just have to take time and really just enjoy it, because it can always be gone. Like injury is the best like help of perspective. Because once you get injured, you realize how easy it is to get injured, like how easy it is for every game to be your last game. And so, like, for me now, when I go into every arena, when I run out the tunnel to every fan base and every arena, no matter where we are, I'm going to enjoy that more, because now I know, like, where I could be if it wasn't for basketball. Like, there I know a lot of guys that would be living totally different lives, like be totally different people if it wasn't for basketball. And so I think the biggest thing for every basketball player at this level and beyond is just take some time to really just sit back and enjoy it, because you never know. Like, I think the thing that Phil Jackson said, in the Last Dance documentary, they knew it was going to be their last time together, so they called it the Last Dance. But for most guys, you never know. And so, you always got to treat every game, every moment, every experience, as your last. And so, for me, I'm definitely going to try to do a better job of that my sophomore year, because, an injury is just one play away every time, and career-ending injuries they're a dime a dozen. So for me, it's all about the hindsight and the perspective, and just looking towards not where I'm at right now, but just enjoying where you are now, but always keeping that mind and keeping your eyes peeled towards where you want to be in the future, because it's really not that far away.
Yeah, it's really not, and it goes by fast too.
It goes by so fast, and it'll be a instance just like this, just like a COVID-19 or a Corona to come take the season away from you. Come take, like, these seniors that were playing this year, getting ready for March Madness, like something like that is gone. Like, it's gone, and so you don't even get a chance to enjoy it. You're just out and you're playing, and you're like, dang, I'm finna go to March Madness, and no, you're not. Like,
you're not.
It's over. So that's the biggest thing.
Dang, I like it. Throw out your Twitter and your Instagram if you have TikTok, thanks to my boy Dylan Miles. Just throw that out there too, man.
All my social media is the same. It'll be STG_Strech. That's Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. That's all the same. I had TikTok. You can follow me on TikTok. I got a few, with my dog in it, but that's about it.
I love it. I am the Easy Corner. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Follow on Instagram at the Easy Corner. Follow on Twitter at Easy_Corner1. I am the Easy Corner. I'm sitting with University of Texas freshman, my brother, Donovan Strech Williams. This episode will be out next week. Subscribe on YouTube at Easy Corner. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it, my boy, dog. It was, man.